Hi, welcome to the Tournament Center. I'm Zac Hill, along with Melissa DeTora. Melissa quietly sitting at the top of the standings at 8-0 right now. And you're playing Bant Control today, or Bant Midrange. Can you tell us?
Wolf Run Bant.
Wolf Run Bant. And what does Wolf Run Bant do?
Well, it's a Bant deck that plays mid-range creatures like Centaur Healer, Restoration Angel, Thragtusk, and then it plays control cards like Supreme Verdict, Sphinx Revelation, Azorius Charm, and Farseek to ramp.
Sure.
And it kills with Kessig Wolf Run.
Really? Awesome. Well, let's take a look at actually the cards in the deck. You mentioned a lot of them right now. Now, looking behind us, you see a Thragtusk, one of the pillars of the format, a Restoration Angel, Augur of Bolas, and Centaur Healer. Now, these are a lot of value creatures. Can you tell us, like, they seem kind of like the core of the deck. How do they work together? Yeah,
well, we just want to gain tons of life and get extra cards and then blink everything. And we just want to like get so much card advantage and life and crush all the mid-range and aggro decks.
Oh yeah? They do a good job of that?
Yes, it does. So much life, they like just can never recover, and Sphinx Revelation just ends the game.
What's interesting, you say they never recover. I remember coming into the tournament, a lot of people, Thragtusk defined the format before Gatecrash came out. But a lot of people were saying, like, oh, it's a lot faster now. You may not even be able to survive to cast your Thragtusk. Is that what happened, or in your experience, is the card still as good as it ever was?
It's still as good, but you really need the early stuff like this to block, and like you really need the Azorius Charm to just like stabilize, and you need the Wrath and stuff. But like once you have all that stuff together, Thragtusk just ends the game.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Well, let's actually take a look at some of that other stuff. Now, you saw Augur of Bolas. Clearly, this deck isn't just a bunch of creatures. You have a lot more power here. You've got Farseek, Azorius Charm, Sphinx's Revelation, and we'll talk about Think Twice in a little bit. Farseek, I think, is quietly just maybe the best card in the format. It's a card you don't hear a lot of people talking about that wins games, but it's a card that when you cast it, the games just play out totally differently than they do otherwise. I mean, is it one of the most important cards, or is it just kind of like whatever?
No, it really is the most important card for a few reasons. One, we're 4 colors, so we need to get all of our colors. And 2, like if you're on the play, you're a turn faster, and if you're on the draw, you're like the same as them. So it's really important to have Farseek.
Cool. Now, I think Azorius Charm, we've seen a lot of it, self-explanatory, kills stuff, draws cards. Sphinx's Revelation, another one of the best cards in the format. Now, Think Twice, just 2 copies of it. It's sort of weird if you're just reading a deck list, like 2 Think Twice. Okay, what does it do? It's kind of slow, it's kind of ponderous, but you see a couple of copies in a lot of decks. Why is Think Twice important to the deck?
Well, we don't really have enough stuff to do on turn 2, so that's why we have 2 Think Twice. And sometimes you just flood out because there's 25 lands, so sometimes you just really need to like dig to your Sphinx Revelation, and that helps with that.
Totally. And also, I guess, just allows you to get away with a 25 land mana base because, you can just cantrip early in the game and draw into some lands. Now, we've also got, in addition to the core cards, kind of just a lot of value spells, it seems like, to keep you alive. You've got 3 copies of Supreme Verdict. Now, I was looking at your deck. Your deck with 14 creatures, not necessarily intuitive that you're going to play a symmetrical Wrath effect. Why do you play 3 Supreme Verdicts?
Well, you really can't beat the very fast aggro decks like Gruul without it.
Oh, yeah? And
a lot of times you just like Farseek set up and they play stuff and then you Supreme Verdict, then you cast your stuff. So you can, like if you have it in your hand, you can play it like, to benefit you.
Cool. And I'm looking at this mix of counter spells. I know a lot of people, once Cavern of Souls was printed, started being in a lot of decks. It was a centerpiece of like some zombie decks and stuff. People sort of shied away from counter spells a little bit.
Yeah.
You've got 2 copies of Dissipate and 1 copy of Syncopate. A, why do you think counters are good now? And B, why this mix?
I was kind of worried about like Liliana and Rakdos Return.
Oh yeah?
And like Esper in general, so I really wanted a way to at least have a shot against Esper.
Sure.
And for this, I just wanted a 2-mana one, and like no one sees this coming ever, so it was pretty good.
You can get the, what is that guy that he's like cost hybrid adds red-green. They're like planning a big turn with Flennifor or whatever, and you just syncopate it and like.
Oh yeah, I've definitely countered a ton of Sphinx Revelations with just 2 mana, and they didn't see it coming because like Bant doesn't play this ever, so.
Right, yeah, or you don't have Dissipate mana open.
Yeah,
I guess it's time for me to tap out. And finally, 1 Detention Sphere. It seems kind of like a just got you card.
Yeah, basically.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, there's another one in the sideboard. Yeah, I wanted to play like 2 total, so I just had 1 main, and because it
right,
fits,
it's got to be somewhere.
You need something, some spot removal, some way to deal with like a Planeswalker or Forest Reckoner or whatever.
Totally. Now, all the cards we've looked at are actually blue cards, white cards, or green cards, and yet we've got a bunch of lands here that produce red mana. So there's barely even a red card in the 75. You've got Sacred Foundry, Steam Vents, Stomping Grounds, all for 2 copies of Kessig Wolf Run.
Yep.
I've never seen a Kessig Wolf Run in a Bant deck before. You're playing red just for it. Why is Wolf Run so important to this deck?
Like, it's amazing. Like, if you're in a Thragtusk mirror, like, the Kessig Wolf Run just makes them take 1,000 damage, you know? So, like, it's really important. Usually players are at, like, 30 life or something. Right. So if you don't have Sphinx Revelation, you have nothing to do with the mana, you can just make a guy plus, like, 20 plus 20.
Good.
Easily.
That's crazy, and it's worth just playing an entire color for.
Yeah, it's pretty much like the reason why the deck is, like, the reason why I'm winning with it is because of this, because like the guys are just not good enough on their own.
Right. Yeah, you turn a Restoration Angel into something that can just kill you in 2 hits.
Yep.
That's pretty sick. All right, so we've got those, and we've got the more regular lands. We've obviously Ravnica lands. We all know what they do. They're all really good. It's worth noting you can play the full 12 because you have so much life gain, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I do wish that I had a couple less of these, but and more of the like M13 ones.
Sure.
But
live you learn.
Yeah.
Change that in the PTQ season, but you may not have to.
Yeah.
All right, speaking of those lands, the M10 Innistrad lands, we've got Hinterland Harbor, Glacial Fortress, Sunpetal Grove. Again, casting your spells is good, but I want to talk about the sideboard because you've got a lot going on in the sideboard. The first thing I want to look at, if we can take a look at the next slide, is, oh man, we just missed it. I saw a Garruk Relentless and Gisela. Gisela is your one actual red card. I've seen you absolutely demolish Paul Rennie with it. How did you arrive at not only Gisela, but I'm assuming the Garruk to tutor for it?
Yeah, we just wanted a finisher against a controller mid-range deck, we went through so many things, and we couldn't think of anything. And finally, one of our people we were testing with, who isn't even qualified, he's here doing press. James Searle said, "Wait, what about Gisela?" And we said, "We can't play that. It costs 2 red." And he said, "No, it doesn't." And we read it, and we were like, okay, that's what we're playing.
Dude, that's awesome. So is Garruk actually to go with it, or do you just draw it, and this is something totally
they don't
different?
really have anything to do with each other.
Oh,
It's
really?
just like we want like more plays against control decks.
Oh,
and,
sure.
like you can play that on turn 3, so like
they can't just kill it with a removal spell or anything like that.
and they don't really see it coming like the Esper decks and stuff. They have a hard time dealing with that.
That is awesome. I was literally standing up and cheering when you cast Gisela in your last match. All right, let's take a look at some of the other cards. So I see you've got a lot of the main deck, a lot of life gain against aggressive decks. You've also got Centaur Healer and Faithmender out of the board. Now, it seems like a lot of your plan post-board against aggro is just to gain a lot of life.
Pretty much.
Were you worried about Skullcrack at all, or do you just have so much that it doesn't matter?
I am worried about Skullcrack, but if you play around it and you like assume it's coming, you'll be fine. There's enough life gain where like they can Skullcrack you in response to a Sphinx Revelation. You can untap and play a Thragtusk or something, and it's not really a big deal.
Yeah, and do you normally play Faithmender and then like wait to hold your life gain spells, or you kind of just cast whatever you can and they're all good?
I mean, I only played against like a pure aggro deck once, and I just played the life gain guys first and then cast it because I didn't really have time to play that guy. So
yeah,
that's what I had to do.
It probably doesn't matter between
it didn't
Thragtusk,
matter.
Revelation.
I was at
and
1 million
those.
life, so yeah, it was unfortunate for him.
Actual 1 million. All right, we see 2 Witchbane Orbs.
Yeah.
What is this card? I mean, presumably you're not destroying curses. What is this card doing?
It's just for Rakdos Return.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, pretty much.
I guess it also could theoretically get like Bonfire or Duress or something.
Yeah, stuff like that. Just, like Duress type things, like for like control decks like that.
Cool. And finally, let's see how she rounds out the sideboard. We've got it seems like a lot of good value spells. You've got 2 negates, 1 more sphere, 1 more Supreme Verdict, I guess, to go up to 4, and finally Rest in Peace. Are these just to kind of give you extra percentage points in some
just
matchups?
in case I play against something where I need that, and like we want more control stuff and another removal spell, so that's about it.
Now, I guess my last question, is there anything you're just afraid to play against? Anything you're really excited to play against?
I think I'm afraid to play against Esper.
Oh, yeah?
Because it just seems kind of bad, but I'm not really too sure. And I just want to play against aggro all day. That's
Awesome.
about it.
Well, and maybe you will. Melissa DeTora started out 8-0 today, leading the standings with Kessig Bant.
Sure.
I like it. It's Melissa DeTora. I'm Zac Hill. This is the Tournament Center. Let's head back to the desk.